You're here listening to the Soul Expansion Podcast because intuitively you know there's more to life. There's something more here. And truthfully, we access that something more in our own bodies, in our own souls. We have all the wisdom we need. And when we can access this within ourselves, business, money, impact, and every area of our life becomes so much more easeful, relaxed, and abundant. My name is Kristen Kosinski, and I'm here as your guide and your host, but this is your journey, so let the journey begin. Hello, welcome back to the Soul Expansion Podcast. I am excited that you're here. Today, we're talking about how to go from feeling powerless to feeling empowered. And, in our last episode, we talked a bit about codependency in business. And if that's a topic that interests you and you feel safe listening to an episode about that, I definitely encourage you to go back and listen to it because we talked about some of the patterns that can show up that really hold us back and keep us in this state of feeling not good enough, and prevent us from being able to share our mission and our message and create the movement that we're here to create as business owners. So we kind of talked about like the unconscious patterns in that episode, but in this episode, I'm going to be telling you how to shift. So oftentimes when we're in an unconscious pattern, or when we're in like a codependency pattern, or even more broadly, when there's shit happening in the world. This came up in one of my calls recently with clients where she said, this thing just happened in the world and it's huge and it's painful and it sucks and it's making me feel really unsafe and powerless. And like, I don't have the money or the resources to be able to go somewhere else where this thing is not happening. And she just was, feeling really, really stuck. And I think this comes up a lot where something happens maybe in the world or in the industry that we belong to or on social media. And it's like this big blow up thing that puts us into a fear state or into a trauma state. So I don't think it's all that uncommon. And hello, we just went through a fucking pandemic at the time I'm recording this. So I don't think it's all that uncommon that something big can happen in the world that makes us feel powerless. And the hope I have as you listen to this is that this episode will give you a process for when you do feel powerless. What can you do to start to shift into a more empowered state? That is my goal. Now, does shit happen that we have to grieve? We have to process our feelings about? We have to really be with the trauma and get support and maybe, work with a mental health professional, or I don't know if you heard my dog sneeze, or with a coach to process some deeper stuff that happens in our life? Absolutely. So if you're in that state where you're grieving something and it's like very deeply connected to your mental health, and it's like really, really deep for you, right? And it's something that you personally went through and you are personally going through, then maybe this is not the episode for you right now. So I just want you to be really aware of your own situation. Are you in a situation where you've done the grieving process, or maybe it's something like outside of your control, like a pandemic, right? Where there's nothing you can do. And so what do you do in that situation? We're going to talk about it. But if it is like a trauma where it's like deeply connected to you and you haven't done the grieving work or the processing work, then maybe this episode is something you listen to at a later date. I don't want to bypass anyone who is going through a very deep trauma right now. But if that is not the case for you, but you're still kind of in this state of feeling a little powerless or helpless or like you don't have control, then this episode should help you start to shift. So, how do we start the process of going from powerless to empowered? So let's say something like a pandemic happens in the world, right? Something huge happens. And as humans, it is completely outside of our control. Yes, we can do things to help. Yes, we can do things to protect ourselves. There are steps we can take as individuals, but we can't change the fact that there's a pandemic, or we can't change the fact that something is happening in the geopolitical climate, for example. What do we do then to get out of this state of feeling like we are powerless and maybe we're feeling really disempowered and unsafe? Well, the first thing that I do is I look at that situation and I ask myself, okay, what is this bigger event making me feel about myself? Right? What is this bigger event making me feel about myself? And maybe the word is powerless, right? But maybe the word is unsafe. Maybe the word is unprotected, right? Maybe the word is at a loss. Maybe the word is feelings of despair or despondency. So first I tune into myself and I'm like, okay, what is this event or this thing making me feel about myself? And I look at those feelings from a gentle, curious point of view. I don't know if you can hear my dog. He's like having a little conniption on the air mattress here. We're still in New York. We haven't moved to Miami yet at the time I'm recording this. Sorry if you hear him. But I look at my feelings about myself and what this situation is making me feel about myself. And then I'll often sink into my body or meditate or journal on, is it really this event that's making me feel this thing about myself, or is this triggering something else from my own life? And sometimes it's the event, sometimes it's something else from my own life, right? So I've had situations where something big happened in the geopolitical landscape and it was really triggering to me, but it wasn't because it was directly affecting me. It was because the event reminded my system of a previous trauma. So that's something to look at first. What am I feeling? And are these feelings about the actual event, or are these feelings coming from a deeper place, more personal to me? And if they are coming from a deeper place, more personal to you, then that's an invitation to sit with that traumatized part of you. Sit with that part of you that maybe doesn't feel safe or maybe doesn't feel protected, and give that part of you a sense of safety. Give that part of you a sense of protection. You know, this part of you that's being triggered is a younger version of you. So the way we hold ourselves when a younger part of us is triggered is we show up as the loving parent. We show up as the loving parent to maybe the 3-year-old version of us who doesn't like uncertainty, or who feels really unsafe when things are outside of her control, right? And maybe it's a 20-year-old version of yourself. I have parts of me that are like 22 years old or 26 years old, right? So the age doesn't necessarily matter. All that matters is this is a version of you from the past that had an experience that didn't feel good, was either traumatic or highly emotional, and he, she, or they is being triggered in this moment from this event. So look at that, hold yourself in that. And oftentimes, like when we feel unsafe, it's like, can we tune in to the basic things that we need? Can we feel and let our body notice we are home, we are safe, the walls are sturdy, the building is not collapsing in on us, there's food in the fridge, the water is available to us, there's a place to rest. The earth is still there, right? Like we're still on planet Earth. The ground is sturdy and supportive. Can we feel those basic feelings of safety, of ground, of sturdiness, of protection in our own home, in our own body, in our own environment? That's like baseline where I like to start, or where I often find myself starting is, am I in a safe place? Is this building safe? Are these walls safe? Is this ground sturdy? Is my body safe? And it's very like primal, but that's where a lot of our fear comes from when we're in some of these events that make us feel powerless. We like our survival parts are triggered. We are fighting for survival. So if we can just remind our system, our body, our unconscious that we actually are in a safe space, then that opens up this possibility to shift into a more empowered energy little by little. The next thing I like to do is after I establish safety in my environment, in my body, the next thing I like to do is I ask myself, okay, what can I do about this situation? And if the answer is nothing, because it's a geopolitical conflict that I have no control over, maybe I want to donate, maybe I feel called to do something that I can do, right? And so maybe I'll do those things. But if it's like I can't actually change the situation in a big way, then I'll ask myself, okay, what would feel good, or what would feel like I'm shifting into an energy of empowerment? What would help me feel like I do have control? What would help me feel like I am able to make a difference? And so I'll feel into those ideas and those concepts, and maybe you journal on this or you meditate on this. Or if you're truly at a loss, like there have been times in my business where I felt so lost, I felt so disempowered, I felt so disconnected, that all that was left, like all I could do was ask my higher power for guidance. So that's also a place to look. Like if you pull out your journal and you write in your journal, God, source, universe, unconditional love of the universe, whatever higher power you identify with, I need help. Please help me feel something different. Please help me see this situation differently. Please help me step back into my power. Please open me up to different possibilities and ideas. Please show me the way. Please show me the next step. Like ask for that guidance. Oh, I can't tell you how many times in my life where I truly felt like there was no solution. There was no option. And when I finally broke down and asked for support from my higher power, it was so relieving, so heart opening, so relaxing. Like it took so much pressure and fear away from my system because I gave it over to God or universe. And so even if you may feel resistant to that, depending on where you're at with your spiritual development, remember that that's always there. You can always pull out your journal or meditate and ask, please guide me. Please show me the way. Please help me through this obstacle. Please, I don't know what to do. I need clarity. I need the next step. I need to feel safe, right? There have been times where in my business or with the current pandemic where I truly didn't feel safe, and I asked my higher power, please just help me feel safe. Please just help me feel like everything's going to be okay. I feel scared. I feel really scared. Can you please help me move out of this fear and move into a state of neutrality and move into a state of knowing that it's all going to work out and I'm going to be supported in this? So that would be my next recommendation. And then finally, what I think is the most empowering is when we remember this concept, which comes from NLP, which is being at cause. So again, if you are in a deep personal trauma where you haven't grieved it, you haven't processed it, and you're very much still in it, this will not land with you because it'll feel like spiritual bypassing. But if you're dealing with a situation that is not deeply personal to you and is not something that you're currently grieving, then the next question I would ask yourself is, okay, how can I be at cause in this situation? And what that means to me is, let's say I co-created this unconsciously, right? Because that's truly what I believe, at least for situations that are directly connected to our personal life. So when I'm in a situation where I feel like I can't control something, let's say it's in your business or with money or in your personal life, what I'll do is I'll ask myself, okay, how can I be at cause in this situation? How can I take radical responsibility for what's in front of me, right? So maybe you're in a situation where you're not making enough money this month, or maybe you're in a situation where maybe like a hater is, harassing you. So there's the opportunity to take in that negativity or take in that experience that feels really disempowering and like stay in that disempowered energy. But there's also the opportunity to look at that situation and ask yourself, okay, what can I do now? How can I respond from an empowered state to this situation? How can I be at cause? How can I take radical responsibility for what is in front of me? Not that you necessarily asked for what's in front of you, not that you necessarily attracted what's in front of you, not that you wanted what's in front of you, not that you deserve what's in front of you. That's not the energy. That's not the intention with what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if it's already in front of you, what are you going to do about it now? And not from this energy of like, buck up or shut up, right? Like I'm not intending it to sound aggressive like that, but it's just the truth. Like when you're faced with something in front of you that's making you feel disempowered, after you've worked through some of the steps I said earlier in this episode, the invitation and the opportunity is to take back that power, right? Shift into this energy of radical responsibility. Respond to the situation instead of letting the situation overtake you. How would you respond if you were in your most empowered state? If you can feel the feelings of the millionaire or multimillionaire version of you, or your higher self, or whatever version of you feels powerful, can you feel the feelings of her now, or him now, or them now? And then can you respond to what's in front of you from that state? Because oftentimes we cannot change what's in front of us, but we can change our response. And so that is what I have for you in this episode. Thank you for rolling with the dog sounds in the background. If you like this episode, give me a shout out, write a review, all the things. Find me on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski. And I will see you in our next episode, where I'm going to talk about offers. So for those of you who are in the online space, there's some things that I've learned about creating offers that I'm excited to share. So stay tuned for that episode number 70 coming up next. All right. Love you. Talk soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show today. Thank you for being a loyal listener. If you've listened more than once, I really appreciate your time, your focus, your energy, and your attention. And so it is my heartfelt request that if you got something out of this episode, please write us a review, rate us, tell us exactly what you want to say, speak from the heart, speak from your soul. No review is too short or too long or anything that's too much or not good enough. It's all good. It's all good. We really love and appreciate your feedback. It just helps us make the show better and better, and it helps us get the show out to more people. As a reward for your time and energy writing a review, just take a screenshot of it before you hit submit and email it to us at support@KristenKaczynski.com, and we will give you free access to my Work Less, Make More, The Vibe Masterclass and Integration Deepening Call. This is over 3 hours of content that was recorded in 2022, early 2022. On my website, I currently charge money for it. I don't remember what we priced it at, but it's not currently for free anywhere else, unless you write a podcast review, screenshot that review, and send us an email. So the email address is support@KristenKaczynski.com. I would love to gift you this free gift for your time and energy being a listener and writing a review. So if you have a few moments right now, I would really appreciate your words, your feedback, your shares, and your love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. I so appreciate you. And I'll talk to you soon.